You need a dose of this.
What's up, everybody? We are back. We are live tonight. I have a very special guest with me tonight. I'm going to bring him in just a few minutes. We are going to be talking to him about his world, his universe, Unstoppable Comics. And we're going to be focusing tonight on one of his characters, one of his many, many characters. And that is Shield of the Interceptor. Now, Shield of the Interceptor is a really dope book that I got a chance to read. Thank you very much, Jaydee, for sending me that stuff. We're going to be talking about his origin. We're going to be talking about who he is, the mythos. I mean, this is a deep character. I enjoyed reading the entire thing that he sent me. So I have tons of questions for him. We're going to bring him in right now. We're not going to wait anymore. So here he is, Mr. Jaydee Rosario. What's going on, my man?
What's up, my brother? How are you doing? Thanks for having me, Bubba.
Yo, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. Thank you for coming on. I've been wanting to do this with you. I've had you on the show before, and I've been on your channel. So we've been going back and forth. But I've been wanting to talk to you because dude, Unstoppable Comics is a huge world that you've created, and you have tons of characters and tons of stories and things like that. So I wanted to talk to you about this because it's insane what you've done. And how long have you been at it? How long have you been doing it?
Officially since 2008, but I've been building it up since before that.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Oh, excuse me. I want a side note for a second. I'm looking at your intro, and I want to say you are one of the most respectable people in comic books that I know, because here you are, and you're showing your brother from another mother some love by having him on the intro. Oh, yeah. But because he is such a sucky handball player, you didn't show his face, so I'm not insulted. You know what I'm saying, bro? You know how to throw that balance.
I got you.
I appreciate that.
I don't like to rock the boat too much. You know what I mean? Nuts. We're gonna be live tomorrow night with Sam on Catch the Craze. So join us there. But dude, hold on. Let me see. I got a couple of people here saying what's up. What up? I believe that's Seabass. I know there's one of the nerds. What's going on, my man?
What's up, Seabass? Or
let's see. We got Crystal. I get to watch George before I get pounded by a hurricane. Oh no!
I hope you're safe.
Yo, for real, safe. Chris. Jesus, man, those freaking hurricanes out there are crazy. Yeah. And Lou's in the house. What's up, Lou?
Lou, what's up?
In. So all right. So Jay.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about Shield of the Interceptor. I'm just gonna get right into it because you sent me this. You sent me the PDF of the not just the first issue, but what do you got? 4 issues? It was a
5 issues.
5 issues.
5 issues, and then 4 issues in the Storm Chasers.
Right. Yeah.
And then his origin stories in Unstoppable Origins.
Right.
And then he has an entry in the character guide.
Oh, dude. I mean, you have a whole. Now, I didn't realize that when you put the character out in the Shield of the Interceptor, issues 1 and 2 were done by another writer. Somebody else wrote them, right?
Brandon,
and then for issues 3 and 4, is that how it works?
Yeah, I started on 3 and 4 because I was busy with the Storm Chaser stuff and trying to run a business. So I met Brandon at New York Comic Con, and since then, Brandon has blown up, and he has written for Peggy Carter, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., the series when it was on ABC. He wrote for the second reboot of Thundercats in the early 2000s.
Wow.
He is currently writing Robotech for Titans Books, and he's written some stuff for DC. He's written there is an animated series on Max, and the name is escaping me. It's a young lady from Africa who is a swords
Nabu? Is it Nabu? No, what is it?
No, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. But he is the showrunner on that series for Max. So Brandon, and Brandon hasn't forgotten the people that he rolled with. So that's awesome, a cool thing. You know,
Now I did notice that he always starts, or the first few issues that he did, he always starts with a quote. Is that something
yeah.
that you guys talked about when you were developing, or is that just something that he does because he was like, I just want to throw a quote in there. That's just something I do.
That's something he does.
Okay.
But I learned from it. So
Did you?
now when I open up one of my other books, New York versus the World, my zombie apocalypse set here in New York
Yes.
City, I
Yeah.
open it with a quote also. Yeah,
Gotcha.
learn. That's what this business is about. It's always being open to learning new things from the people that you're working with.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously the artwork is
Yeah,
top notch. So who's
Russ
the artist on this?
Russ Leach out of the UK. So Russ has
Yes.
drawn for Panini, which has done Ben 10, Batman, Doctor Who. He has a series
Yeah.
going on right now, which is the Robert E. Howard Conan books that are in public domain.
Right. With
So
Randy, right? With Randy Zimmerman. Is that who he's
with
working
Randy
with?
Zimmerman, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
on their second. They're on their second one coming out. I think
Awesome.
it's called the Atlantean, if I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
or the
Atlantean or something?
Hyborian. Yeah,
Something like that. Yeah.
whatever can be applied to the book that is not still controlled by the Howard estate or whoever owns the license now. So whatever's in public domain, they're working on that right now. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, no, you have a stellar, just art team. Who does is the lettering done by them also, or?
The lettering was done by a very early me.
Oh, okay, that was you. All right. All right.
Yeah. Cutting my teeth, making my mistakes, and
This is nice. I like that.
and learning the hard way.
Yeah.
The lettering has gotten better since then. But
It's nice. It's nice to go back and see where you were and
Yeah.
how far you've come sometimes on these books.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
I'm looking at this one right here with indestructible on the bottom of the balloon, and I'm cringing right now. I'm like, can you scroll quicker?
I'm like,
Woo, boy!
these are cool. I like these though. I like the way you did the
Yeah.
action.
Thank you.
Words.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no,
I like
this is
to
very
have
nice.
like the sound effects become part of whether it's the background or the imagery, stuff like that.
I hear you,
And
dog. I hear you. Yeah.
that's where
No,
I feel I can be an artist.
yeah, no, I listen, as somebody who letters my own books as well, and I've lettered for a couple of people, you're right. I mean, there's so much that goes into the lettering because much like the coloring, it can really damage the book. The
100%.
art can be amazing. A bad colorist can really kill it, and a bad letterer can really kind of they can really throw you off because if it's too
100%.
much, then you're like, oh, damn, this looks like
Yeah.
you notice it. You notice it when it's bad. You know what I mean?
You do. Like I noticed that. I would be like, oh my God, who you trying to work for, bro? Who you trying to work for?
No, but
Then,
these are solid.
there's little things like this, the
I like
he could have been
Yeah, I like
changed.
that. No, I do like it though. I like it.
Really, I'm not feeling that. But the
Nah.
next, I like the way it blows up on top. A lot of
yeah.
people would just do that in big bold black text with the red
Yeah,
outline behind it. But I like to blow up the word.
yeah. It's consistent. I see that you do that from time to time. But the artwork, the sequential work is great. Now, I did want to ask you, so I don't want to spoil too much of it. So let me just actually, you know what?
Spoil it.
Let me
I
scroll
don't
through
care.
it.
Let him.
This is chapter 2. What I was gonna ask, so the first 2 stories, I do notice, and sometimes you do notice the change. It's like you've been reading comics for a long time, so obviously, teams of artists and writers change as comics move, go on. So, for example, Amazing Spider-Man, I collected, Amazing Spider-Man way back when Eric Larson started doing it. I didn't have the Todd McFarlane run. I started collecting comics when Eric Larson was doing it.
Okay.
So Eric Larson was my guy. Then it went to Mark Bagley. Same thing with the writers, right? So I did notice that obviously, he wrote the first 2, and then you wrote the next 2. What was interesting to me is your styles are different. Like I noticed that the first 2 books were very much in
Professional.
No. There was a lot of like background. There was a lot of lore. There was a lot of And I wanted to ask you about that too. The 3 and 4, it's very much you. It's very much. I've known you for a few years, and you're a very passionate person. You speak from the heart.
Yeah.
So that story is very much a love story.
Yes,
know?
yes,
Very
yeah,
much a love story. And I did
yes.
notice the change in it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I thought that was cool. I thought it was really dope. Like I could tell that I was reading, this is your story, and then this was his story.
Mhm.
Did you guys have a conversation about what was going to go on the first two books, or what, or did he pitch you an idea and said, "Hey, listen, Jay, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think?"
No, we definitely spoke about this. We had a lot of phone calls when it went into this. He wanted to know what had going on in the background, right, or the Bible
Mhm.
for character development. Who was going to be part of the cast? I mean, he was ready to throw a hell of a lot more characters in here, and I was like, no,
Wow.
let's simmer down. Let's bring them out later on. Um, but what he really did, which I loved, was bring the blacksmith, the man who forged the shield
Yes.
into the story, how he got there, why there were not more shields like this made, and it really worked. And then we went from there. Excuse me. It was a weird thing because very early on I learned I can't afford him anymore.
Oh, okay.
Right? He's moving on. He's doing work that is just he's kicking ass on, right? And he's getting professional comic book work. So it's
Mm,
forget about not even able to afford them. Can I fit into a schedule?
right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had Russ who's ready to go. So it's just okay. Let's tie up our big boy boots and put something together ourselves.
So, Shield of the Interceptor. This
Mhm.
was character number or book number what in the whole universe of
This
Unstoppable
was
Comics?
title number 3. So
Title
we
number
started
3.
off with the Storm Chasers, and then we went into Curse of the Dragon Storm, which was kind of like my love to Iron Fist and to Nightwing or even Batman. Um, I, I always talked about how I liked Batman growing up, but being the child of someone whose father passed on
Hmm.
very early on, I didn't get that connection from Robin with that, you're not my father. Who are you telling me what to do?
Right.
So how do you keep that dynamic going and then keep them involved in doing stuff in whatever superheroics? And
Right.
that's where Curse of the Dragonstorm came in.
Hmm.
You had a character who grew up as the Robin, who became the Batman, and now has to train the next Robin and doesn't want to, is not ready to, knows what's coming if he does. So he's very anti doing that. And then he finds out, well, if I don't do that, this young lady is a goner.
Hmm.
So I need to bring her in to protect her, at least
Right.
show her how to protect herself.
So the first group or the first book you put out was Storm. Did you write Storm Chasers, or was
I
that
wrote the
somebody?
Storm Chasers. Yeah, I
You
wrote the
did.
Storm Chasers. I wrote issues 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I had Russ link up with me issue number 5, and that was kind of like my giant size X-Men moment. Right,
Hmm.
we had uh, a larger cast become introduced. We had a more diversified cast be introduced, and we had a way to pick up what was put down in the first arc and bring that all together.
Now I'm gonna skip ahead to the Shield of the Interceptor for this one, because I did notice, and I wanted to ask you about choices when it comes to creating the character. I did notice that he's British,
Yeah,
right? Why did you decide to make him a British superhero?
I went along the lines of what I loved with Captain America,
Mm,
right? And when you look at it, he's that, but he's on the parallel line. Captain America's American. He's British. Captain America is a white guy. Interceptor is a man of color. Captain America's shield is based in science. Interceptor shield is based in magic. So again, it allows me to fantasize about the Captain America stories I always wanted to write, but put my own take on it, put my own spin on it, and then
yeah.
build from it.
So the lore behind it, because you
Mhm,
did mention the magic behind it.
mhm,
When I was reading the first issue of the Shield of the Interceptor, there was a lot of lore. There was,
mhm.
and some of it I was like, damn, how much of this is made up and how much of this is true? Because the way you did it, the way you blurred it was really well done, dude. The way you guys got together and kind of put these two things together, where which point, which is, and not to say that what they're talking about is real, because that's also based on lore and stuff like that. But how much is that is stuff you made up and stuff that was already part of the myth, of that shield?
So when it came to the actual flashback scenes, right, in Old England, stuff like that, with Excalibur and stuff, that came from real lore, right? And that was a few panels, and then we went off from there. Part of the inspiration for this was Thundercats and was He-Man, as much as it was Captain America, and later on a little bit of Indiana Jones as well. But it's like, one of the things that frustrated me about He-Man and Thundercats was that you got two heroes and they got a sword, but they can't use it, right? Because they're playing off to kids. Utilizing the shield relieved me of that problem. He can use the shield defensively. He can use the shield offensively. He doesn't have to kill anybody with it.
Right.
And then I tied in the magic bit of it. So it's like, if you remember in Thundercats, that the big sword was able to shrink to a dagger. Well, how do I get that big monster of a shield to become inconspicuous? And it comes with magic and the power of illusion, and you can shrink it down to the size of a ring. So that's why he's able to walk into a room and still, be armed or be protected. But once we got into magic, that opened up the door, which like, oh, okay, I didn't need to figure out these different scientific processes to resolve this bit of story. I can say magic. Right. And move on, and maybe later on with the seed of, we utilize magic in this instance, expand on it. But at this point, use that as an answer to move the story forward.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I did, and I'll show you guys what we're talking about here. So this is now we're in issue number 3. Now this is you. This is you already. So obviously there's a lot of influences of the comic books that we grew up reading, a lot of action sequences, the action lines and stuff like that. And you're talking about the shield here, which you figure he could pretty much do some damage with that edge.
Yes,
right
he
there.
could.
You know what I mean? Like he could really do some damage with that edge. And here you see him, he uses it, obviously as a shield, but the shield has its own power, which repels whatever hits him. So there's a lot of that. Again, I call it lore, but there's magic to it. What kind of research went into it? Did you read a lot about the King Arthur and all that?
100%.
Because there's the sword, right? There's King Arthur's, there's the sword, but this is the shield to that sword. How much of that is real or fake? Like,
that's straight made up. That's straight made up. Now, the shield also comes from my love of Captain America, right? I love the shield of Cap. Cap and Thing were my favorite heroes growing up. So that is huge. A huge influence. It comes from there. But it's like in researching King Arthur, I found points talking about a spear, a dagger, and a cloak. I've never found any reference to a shield. And I found a lot of King Arthur lore was tied into Christianity and the search for the Grail. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to play in that pool so much, right? But I want to utilize the other stuff. So having a made-up item that comes from that lore allows me to utilize some of those things in the toy chest, but not be bound by those rules.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. And that's the problem. Once you're bound by those rules, you get stuck in a corner, and sometimes you got to follow those rules, and it doesn't go well with how the story needs to be played out. So if you just go around the corner, you can find something else that you can utilize for the moment like this.
The other character that I found very interesting was this young lady right here, the lady in the lake.
Lady of the Lake.
Lady of the Lake. Of the Lake.
Yes. Of the Lake. Yes. So that also came from some of the research that I'd done. Okay. And I found that the Lady of the Lake had been associated with a bunch of different names. Aviane, Vivienne, Gloriane, Evian, so many different names, and I'm like, which one do I go with, right? Which one do I choose, right? Because but then utilizing that concept of not being bound by that lore, okay, well, I turn to the Queen Titania. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What if she was the greatest witch in all of Avalon, and she had a coven? So now the sisters in her coven was every name that was utilized by the Lady of the Lake. So I'm playing with those toys, but I'm not specifically using every last one of them.
Gotcha.
So we chose one. I chose one of them, and that's the one that we're going to go on with.
So Tatiana and Avalon and all that other stuff. That's and school me on this because I didn't have time to research it. Avalon exists. Is that correct, or did you make that up? Also,
no, that's real mythology.
Exists.
Yeah.
See, that's
yeah.
So no, I thought the way and that's what I'm saying. The way you blurred the lines and made some of this your own, I thought was really cool because you really got a chance to go into this world and you kind of brought us into it. Again, the first two issues of it explain the world, which I love because the first two issues really give you an inside look into almost like the dirty side of it, right?
Right, hierarchy with goblins and how they're
right. And I like the way you kind of like, he kind of like just boom, just switched it on us at the at one point, and I don't want to say too much because I want you guys to read it. I'm just showing you the images, but there is a point where you kind of like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't expect that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do like about it, and it's funny because normally I don't, but what I think you guys did really well was that you made us care for a villain, even though it was a villain. And there's a reason why he does what he does. So every great villain thinks he's the hero in his own story, right?
Yeah,
and so
100%. Yeah,
that's what this villain does. Was that a conversation you guys had, or was that something that he kind of just came up with when he was writing it and say, hey dude, what if I do this?
He dropped that nugget and I was like, okay, let's roll with that. Right. Okay. I mean, I had more of where he was coming from and why he was doing what he was doing, but he's the one that made people empathize with him,
right?
Sympathize with him, right? And I like that. I like that's what's great about the collaborative process. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's things that are going to go on that you never would have thought of on your own. So how do you play with that? How do you run with it? How do you build off of that? And that's it's making comics.
Yeah. No, and that's the beauty of, like you said, the collaborative process, but also the comics, right? Because you can do that. Now, when he wrote the two issues, did you hire him to just do 2 books, or he felt like, okay, I can tell the story in 2 issues, I don't need any more. Here you go. Here are the 2 issues.
Yeah, I hired him to do 2 books because at the time he was also doing stuff with Oni before Oni and he was also doing stuff with Lion Forge before Oni and Lion Forge linked up. And then
that's Oni Press, right? Is that what you're talking about?
That was Oni Press, yes. Yeah. So remember when Lion Forge was by themselves for a minute?
Right.
Mm-hmm. For a long time, excuse me. So, he had his hands full also with that. And I couldn't take up too much of his time, right? Because I'm working off of indie budget.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So where else, if you could get paid, brother, I can't get in the way of that.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. And then I did want to, let's see, I'm trying to find where you brought in. I think you bring him in. It's almost one of those things where you like, when you collect comics, you have key issues, right? And the key issue is like, who was brought in what issue? Right? In what issue did Lady of the Lake make her first appearance, or her love interest? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is this a cameo right here? I'm gonna show you the page right there. Is that a cameo, or does he make an appearance before that? I think this. I'm trying to find him. This is it, right?
That's him. That's the blacksmith, the guy who made the shield.
Correct. Yeah, but I like what you did with him. Now, his story, was that already written, or you already knew what you were going to do with him at this point, and that's why you asked him to bring him in, or was that something that came at, like, when you were writing your next 2 issues, you were like, ooh, I kind of want this little love, not triangle, because it's not a triangle, this love story, and I want to use him. Is that something that came after this cameo, or was you already set up for that?
I had concepts of it, but I hadn't fleshed it out until I started to write my issues. Once I started to write issues 3 and 4, I'm like, okay, what part are they going to be playing in his life, right? And as I started to develop that, I was like, oh no, that's in essence mom and dad. But how do you keep them from being mom and dad? Right? How do you torture them? How do you make them star-crossed lovers? How do you keep them from having been together for so many years? Right. And what we'll find out later on is, sometimes that reconnection doesn't go smooth as you think it does.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. And I love the way. Again, and this is kudos to you as a writer and Russ as an artist, because I really did enjoy the way you guys did the flashback scenes, and how it didn't take away from the story you were telling, and you guys were able to do that, through obviously, somebody's telling the story, because there's always that question of, okay, is this too much exposition? Like,
yes,
yes. How am I going to tell the story without it being the cliche? So did you struggle with that? And did you decide, 100%. You know what, I'm just going to do it this way. I'm just going to do it. I don't care. I'm just going to do it this way. Well,
I struggle with putting two words together sometimes, bro. I'm like, oh, this isn't how I was supposed to do it. So when I write scripts, my scripts are not locked in when it comes to the dialogue, right? I'm trying to capture more of the emotional beat or completing the objective of what I'm trying to tell in the story, right? How is what I'm putting down here playing to advance the story? But I'm definitely trying to capture emotional beats. Sometimes I do more of that than I do of action, and I got to go back and I got to restructure things, because people aren't always buying books for the emotional beats in a story. So I got to figure that stuff out, and that's where I end up racking my brain, because they don't always meet up in the place where they're supposed to, or the place where I'd like it to. And exposition is always, how do you make it entertaining without just an info dump, right? Because then you're going to lose people. You're going to lose people. And telling the story of Kulan and why there's no more shields and what happened, and even doing the research on Oberon was wild, because I found out that Oberon was not Avalonian to begin with. Oberon came more from Germanic troll tribes. And this is something that I laid out in the character guide, right? That's where I was able to do the info dump, because that is where people are expecting an encyclopedia of information. So in the character guide for Oberon, I let people know that he was way down on the line to succeed in becoming king over there as the troll or their Germanic lore. So he left, he bounced, he took off, and he ended up on the shores of Avalon. And there he met Queen Titania, and he found his opportunity to get to the top, and he took out her father. But when he took out her father, he gained all this knowledge that he was not prepared to have. And that is what sets up the entire future or the drive for the Interceptor. So the information that Oberon ended up discovering led him to look for relics that were made up from different mythologies.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which would become, things that are more powerful than the sum of its parts. He wants to get his hands on it. Queen Titania says he shouldn't, and that's where the struggle comes in, and that's where she utilizes her agent, the last of her knights, the Interceptor, to keep him from doing that.
What I also enjoyed about the stories that you put us in an adventure right away. Like you have an origin story, and you can get the origin story, because you have a whole book entitled Origins, which is the origins of all of your characters. So you can't get his origin separate. But when you jump into issue 1 of Shield of the Interceptor as a reader, for those watching, you're going right into an adventure. It drives you. I mean, it does tell you a little bit about who he was prior to his life as a hero, but he's been summoned. Here you are we're gonna do some battle, and the story starts. Like you're right in it as soon as the story begins. So there isn't. We talk about info dumps. There aren't any at the
Right.
beginning of issue one. It's similar to even issues 2 and 3. You're in another adventure. He's on a quest. That's the other thing I like, Jay. You threw him into a quest. You know, it's and he's got to go do something right away. You don't wait. She finds him. He's battling. He's doing one thing, and she's like, "Hey, you're wanted somewhere else. You're gonna have to figure out how to do this, how to juggle this life, because you're going to be summoned by the Avalonians
A lot more, yeah.
at any moment, right?" So and here he is on this quest to find her, long lost love, in a sense, and it becomes a love story, dude. And he's like in the
and
middle.
He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't. He's very reluctant.
No, he doesn't want to do it because like, why am I doing this? And
Right.
and the person he goes to save, which we find out who he is, doesn't want to go back until he mentions who has sent them.
Right.
And then it's like, oh wait, she's still around. Like, it's really well done. You did an excellent job writing it. So I did enjoy it, dude. I did enjoy
dude, it feels good because we sometimes we do this. We're very solitary when we do this, and to hear just a little bit of that, you're like, all right, somebody got what I was trying to say.
That's the thing. Somebody got what I was trying to say. That's the hard, like as a writer, and especially as a writer who hasn't done it professionally for the big two or whatever, you're hoping that what you're putting on paper makes sense here, but you're hoping it makes sense out there for the person reading this. I hope they get it. And I did. I got it, bro. I got it. So you did an excellent job explaining why and the hows and the. Now listen, with everything we write, I think the beauty of it is you can always have opposing views on it, right?
Yeah.
Somebody may read it and be like, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that," but as the character, not writing choices, as the character, like. Damn, it's almost like Dave, and his name is David. David Flynn is the Interceptor.
Yes.
You sit there, you're like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, you don't have to do this. You know what I mean? But he's that kind of guy who will do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So
it's that great power comes great responsibility thing, right? And it's like, I don't want to do this, but I can't leave this up to anybody else because they're not going to handle this the right way.
Yeah. No, it's right. Let me go into the chat real quick. So Crystal said Milton wanted to go to Disney World. Oh. She's funny. Save, you got some crazy stuff coming at you. Dwayne, thank you, buddy. I've been waiting for this video. Awesome, dude.
Way to be, brother.
Sal, what up, Sal? How you doing, my man?
How you doing, Sal?
So yeah, man. No, I really enjoyed reading the and then you leave it, obviously, like every good comic book, you leave it on the cliffhanger, and we got to find what happens next, right?
Yes.
So very, very well done on that. And then I remember when we were talking about, I'm gonna need this. You just said, here, check this out, check that out, check that out. So what I'm gonna share now is that that story, the origin story. Now, this is a book called Origins, and let me just see if I can just share the other.
Yeah, this one is hard for me. This one's hard for me because this was very, very early on. So I feel it's very rough for me.
So this Unstoppable Origins. So when you say early for you, give me a time frame. Like, when did you put this together? When did you write this?
I want to say maybe 2009, 2010 was when I put it on paper.
2010.
Somewhere around there. And, the original issues came out. And then when I put it into the trade, I said, okay, I got to clean this up. I mean, the lettering was very rough early on, and I was just like, okay, a lot has happened since this story came out. So what can I do to plant a seed? What can I do to remove something that shouldn't be there? Remove a weed, I guess. There were some panels that got taken out that were just
really
unnecessary. Yeah. There was a lot there was a lot done for his origin story.
So you have four origins. One has a part 1 and a part 2, right? So you have Star Striker, you have Interceptor, Phantom Hawk, and Dr. Zero. These characters, are these all part of the Storm Chasers?
They are. So Star Striker and Interceptor are both heroes, I guess you can say, definitely say, for the Storm Chasers.
Right.
The Phantom Hawk, he's maybe more of a liability than he is a hero. He's definitely not a vigilante. He's somebody who's out for himself. And then the Dr. Zero character is a villain. He's our main bad guy. He is public enemy number 1.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. For those who are just joining us, I'm here talking to Mr. Jaydee Rosario, and we're talking about his world, the world of Unstoppable Comics, and specifically, we're talking about the Shield of the Interceptor, the character, the Interceptor. We're going into his origin right now. So, when you created this character, Jaydee, tell me what was the mindset behind the conception of the character itself.
I wanted a hero.
Okay.
Right. I wanted somebody like, the people say the story of the Hulk is the id, the ego, and the super ego, right?
Yeah.
And when I came up with the Interceptor, that's what I was thinking of. But like for me, how do I see myself? How do I think others see me? And how do I want to be seen? Right. So you've got a guy who I want to be a good-natured dude, right? You hit him with questioning his moral choices. They say you can't write Superman because Superman's a Boy Scout and he's always so boring and whatever. He is the unstoppable juggernaut or whatever. So how do you get at him? How do you chip away at that armor? Oh, you know what? Instead of doing it for Superman, how do I do it for my character? How do I make somebody who's just morally just, but you put him in so many tough situations? That is the chink in his armor. That's what drives the drama, right? He wants to do good. Sometimes he isn't always going to be able to. Sometimes he has to make the tough choices. But at the end of the day, he is going to save that little girl under a falling building. As much as it means everything else around him will fall apart.
He's always going to do the right thing. That's the kind of guy he is. He's going to do the right thing.
That's how he is, dude. Right? So it's like we're talking about this here, and here we have the story of the Interceptor and what he was before he became a hero. He was a professional athlete, and he was a professional athlete that got injured and did not have a backup plan once he left the world of being a professional athlete. And he scoured the world going from job to job, even though he had something back home with his family, but he didn't want to be part of that. He needed to carve his own way out there. And then he found out that he was part of something larger. And that's something that goes from here and goes into issues 3 and 4 of the Interceptor. We touch on that, right? Why he became what he is. But that the seeds are played off here. And this, you want to talk about cameos? There's a cameo right here. There's a cameo right here being set up for later on.
Nice.
And that is coming out of the current arc for Shield of
Really? Okay, nice.
Yeah, man.
Did you do that on purpose, or was it just like happenstance, or like how did it happen? Like how did that? You were like, "Oh, let me go back."
This part was done on purpose. So this part was before the championship game. He was, heading home, and somebody in the parking lot was getting attacked. He's that good-natured guy, right? So what does he do? He goes to help the person being attacked, whether it was a man or a woman. He goes after them, and they beat the hell out of him. Right. That's the end of his career. That's why his career is over, right? But what if this was a setup? Right? What if the people that beat him were on orders from somebody else? Maybe somebody that knew him. But this is not something I knew at that time. This is something that came as I kept writing.
It's funny you say that, because as I'm reading this, I'm thinking to myself, he's a professional athlete. Like in Europe, That's like him walking around the streets is the equivalent of, say, maybe not LeBron James today, but a Jason Tatum walking around. You know what I mean? They know who he is. So for these guys to act like they
Lamar
don't,
Jackson, right? Yeah,
right.
yeah.
For them to act like they don't know who he is and attack him like that, I'm like, wait a minute, something's up. So I'm glad that you kind of went back and said, "Ooh, what if something else happened?"
So,
here?
all right. So this is something I remember hearing from the Scott Lobdell School of Writing, and he would always, when he was writing X-Men, he'd always plant seeds. He didn't know how they were going to pan out. He didn't have an idea for them. He just planted seeds, and he goes, "All right, when the time is right, can maybe draw upon one of those seeds, or I can build off of it later on."
Right.
So that's it, and that's what I'm always doing. There's nuggets for New York versus the World in Storm Chasers #1.
Jeez.
There's nuggets for New York versus the World in part 4, the origin of Dr. Zero over here,
Really?
So I'm always dropping seeds, dude.
It's
I haven't
so
always
funny
figured them out, but I will.
It's funny because, like, for me as a writer, I'm the kind of person who likes to plan a lot.
Right.
And sometimes that slows you down. As a
Yeah.
writer, it can slow you down because you're so busy planning that you stop writing the actual story, the actual script, whatever, because you're planning so much. And at
Right,
some
that's-
point, you got to just go. You got to just go. You know what I mean?
That's the over-researching problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You plan so much, you put yourself in the corner and you'll go, I can't get out of here. Let me start this from scratch. Or
Right.
let me go back, 2, 3, 4, 5 different paces, which is almost from scratch, right? And then you get frustrated that you did so much work. So you got to have fun with it also. You can be like, oh, how's this going to play out later on?
Right.
Yeah,
no,
like
sure.
even this over here, this guy is not a goblin. He's a demon. How did I have him go from being a demon to being in the world of Avalon? You plant the seeds, bro. You plant the seeds and you figure out later. And it's funny enough, I'm figuring that out now also. So that plays out in the next part of the Storm Chasers.
Wow. So are you writing both books at the same time, Storm Chasers and the Interceptor?
I'm writing right now 5 different scripts.
Damn.
All in different phases. So I am on the 4th draft of issue number 7 of the Interceptor. Issue number 6 of the Interceptor is being illustrated right now by Andres Barreto, who will be with me at New York Comic Con next weekend. So I'm working on that. I'm working on 2 more issues of The Dead Princess Vicky Styx, and I'm working on an issue of the Storm Chasers, along with a backup for the team that shows up in issue number 3 of the Interceptor, the Heat Seeker team. And they're a group of bounty hunters that I'm going to be playing off of as well. So can I do a backup story for them in the next issue of the Interceptor as a stretch goal? Maybe, right? But I gotta split up those 8 pages, right? So it's still its own one-shot story when I put it together.
When you're writing, do you write the dialogue and then split that up into panels, or are you thinking of what the panel's going to look like and then inject the dialogue in there?
Both.
You do both.
Both, because sometimes I have an image of this person doing this, and it's like, okay, cool. How did we get to that? All right, you got to build up, right? And then I think of, oh, I want this character to have this interaction with this character, right? I want them to make sure whether they say X, Y, Z, or they get this particular point across. How do I build up to that too, right? What puts them into that situation?
Gotcha. Now, the next bit of stuff that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is, candidly behind the scenes, we talk about this, and you're an open book when it comes to this stuff. So, Kickstarter, right? You've done a few. You've done a lot of Kickstarters for your books. Some have been successful, and you're very open about the ones that have not.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What keeps you going, Jay? Like even when you fail at some of these, some people might just pack it up and say, "Yo, forget it, man. This thing is too crazy." What keeps you going to say, "All right, I'm gonna do the next one"?
Because even though I failed on a Kickstarter, it doesn't mean I can't fail selling the book at a convention.
Mm.
Right? Because I can't make money here doesn't mean I can't make money there. It could be a number of factors that went into me going south with the Kickstarter. And we're always playing Monday morning quarterback. And sometimes you got to say, you know what? Forget it. This is what happened. Right? Can I identify a problem or two? Yeah. But you got to keep going. You got to keep going, right? That's why I call this thing Unstoppable Comics. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
because
good.
I'm
It's a good
some
name.
great big engine of destruction. It's because I'm the train. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Go to
Yeah.
pull.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you right now. Before I knew you, I just kind of heard. There was this part of me that said, "Who the hell does this guy think he is with this
Yes.
unstoppable comics stuff?"
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I started listening to how you came up with the name and why the name exists, and I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense because we have to be that way, right? As smaller guys, as indies or small press, whatever you want to call us, we gotta have to have that mentality, almost like that Napoleon complex, right? Where we're
You
just
have to.
bigger than anything else out there. Otherwise, nobody's gonna listen to us.
But you also can't let the smallest speed bump
Right.
deter you.
Yeah.
Right? One of
Yeah.
those failures, we ended up doing the book again, and we did a hell of a lot better with it. Oh, okay. Did I launch at the word? Did I launch at a bad time? Maybe. Did
Right.
I prime a different book and do a total 180 and say, oh, this is going to be the book that I'm doing now, not the one that I was setting up? Maybe,
Right. Right.
but that happened. The milk was spilled. We can't put it back in the jug. Let's
Mhm.
clean it up and start over.
Right, right. Yeah, no, and so that leads me to the Kickstarter that you are planning now.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is a big one.
That's a
That is a
huge
big boy,
one.
right?
A
Now,
huge one.
before I pull up what you're planning on doing,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
why? Why did you feel like this is what I want to do next? Why?
Because it's always what I've been after. It's always what I wanted to do. It's also one of my two biggest drives. Comic books is one. I grew up a very poor kid,
Mhm.
right? My dad passed away when I was young. My mom did what she could to keep the lights on at home. And comic books, I was able to pick up at a bodega going to grandma's house for 50 cents a pop. So $2, I was in the zone, man. That was 4 books and kept me occupied for weeks, man.
Yeah,
I couldn't wait to go back to grandma's house, right? The other thing, which was affordable when I was a kid, were some toys, right? I'm an 80s kid. And G.I. Joe toys
I
were
love G.I. Joe toys.
$2.50 a pop, right? Okay. So for another 50 cents, I could get that action figure from Toys R Us and
Mhm.
make believe that he is Spider-Man today, Captain America tomorrow, Batman the day after that, Wolverine coming up, right?
Yeah.
And oh my God, wait, there's other G.I. Joe figures. So I can have a whole cast of imaginary Avengers, a whole cast of imaginary Justice League guys. And that's where we get to this, right? It's
Wait,
all
that's it.
been building up to this.
This isn't a GI Joe. This
This
is
isn't G.I. Joe.
this
This
is the
is the shield
shield
of
of
the
this
Interceptor.
is the Interceptor right
Yeah,
here.
man.
This is him, man. This is him.
Yeah.
When you got this prototype or when you got this
Uh,
toy, action figure, forget toy. What went through your mind, your body? Like, how did you feel when you held this little guy in your hands, bro?
I
Like,
was excited. I was excited. It
oh,
finally came to life, right? Excuse me. It's been gestating, right? It's still in the womb. This is the sonogram, right? This is the 3D prototype. Um, so there's only certain limited things I can do with him.
right, 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 right.
But I can't wait till we get the actual actual. Thank you, Ron.
I agree, my brother. I agree.
It is. I love it. Right. And this is the flagship character. He's he's the guy on top of the marquee of Unstoppable Comics. He's the one that I've put the most time and energy and research and lore into. He's the one that I have the most stories from. He's the one that I have the most fun writing stories for. I'm not saying that they don't come easy, but they come easier than some of the others, right? And to bring them out, it's the dream. The dream is to see other people holding it in his hands. And like Rye said, that this is fire. Yeah, man, that's what I want them to say when they have this. Right? We're looking at almost 30 points of articulation, a 1/18th scale action figure. He's going to be on a single bubble card, and he is going to be launching on October 17th.
Oof, that's
so
big,
if
bro.
you are at New York Comic Con, you will be able to see him up close and in person.
Oh my God.
And
what's up?
What's up? How we doing? And I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Dude. This is listen. I mean, there are a few more images, but these images, dude, the way you propped them up, like I'm ready to. You got the kung fu grip, like I'm ready to rock with this guy. Now, yes. I wanted to ask you this when we were talking about the art, the design for the character. Where did it come from? Like, how did you? You know what I mean? Like, that's one of those things.
That's all it is, dude. You know, it's
like the mask, like what was you put one on one day and you're like, oh, this would be a cool character. Like, what happened?
No, so it's the Robin Domino mask over the eyes with a chin strap, right? And then the guard in the back of the head that helps it go from there. But other than that, it's a motorcycle outfit, right? It's a practical outfit. It's the Ben Affleck Daredevil costume in blue. That's what it is.
Right? You know what? But see, I think it's more than that, dude. Like I don't know. I feel like it just the way you've customized it, I guess, just gives it its own style, its own look. You know what I'm saying? Like it really is. And to be, I love the way they captured it. Like where is this? Now talk to me about the production and how it came about. Like how did your dream of making an action figure come true? How did that happen?
Difficult.
It was
very
hard
difficult to get there. There was a lot of hubris involved. There was a lot of ignorance. There was a lot of blind luck involved. I found a guy who was making 3D printed toys out there, right? And I'm like, oh, all right, what can we do with this type of imagery? He put it together, and then I'm the guy with the chip on his shoulder, right? So I'm like, I could do that at home. And I looked into the 3D printing, and I looked into mass production on 3D printing, and I looked into paint applications, and then I looked into how do we get this guy painted? Do we print him out in the blue color and just highlight the other colors that are out there? Because I learned through production that each application of paint is a penny. It may not sound like much, but when you scale that up over 2,000 figures, I mean, that'll add up when they have multiple applications. So imagine if he looked like a zebra, how much paint applications each penny would rack up. And then I found out, that there's a certain type of, for lack of a better term, an oven. If you've ever seen the oven that they bake bread in the Subway sandwich shop, imagine something like that with racks that they put plastic into after it's been painted so that the paint can adhere to it. Like, okay, so that runs, a small one, a couple $100, right? Almost 4 figures. A bigger one, right? 5 figures. But then I need people to paint it. Who am I going to have paint it? Am I going to have freelancers? Do I find a bunch of day laborers that I can, pay them a daily rate to get paint applications going? Because I can't keep paying them forever. And then I was looking into after 3D printing, I was looking into small batch injection molding. Right? I don't know if you ever seen an injection molding machine. It's fucking huge. It's the size of a car, right? With
Wow.
a spinning drill bit. And as the plastic pellets get fused into the drill bit, as it goes through the rivets, the threads of the bit, it goes from hard plastic to liquid. And when it gets to the end of the drill bit, that's when it gets shoved into the mold. And then
Jesus.
I know somebody who has a CNC machine. The CNC machine is the machine that cuts the blocks of aluminum to create the molds. And I'm like, okay, but the block of aluminum is a couple grand. And I'm like, technically I can make it for $10,000, but it takes a lot of time and there's a lot of money involved in making those mistakes.
Yeah, for sure, man. And
So
wait,
then-
so
Yeah.
I know that you have this guy, but then
Yeah.
you also have this is him in another
That's him.
colorway.
This is variant, and that's a color scheme that's going to be showing up in issue number 7 of the Interceptor. Something happens when he grabs the sword that is the antithesis to Excalibur.
Nice.
So what happens when that plays off against the magic that's been infused into the shield?
Damn, this looks badass, dude.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I like that. I like this.
Well, then it's also from a financial point. It's like, okay, you're making the mold. The mold's expensive. What can you get from the mold? How do you get multiple bites of the apple?
So you put different colors on it.
You got different color schemes on there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, look at it. I mean, the points of articulation that you're talking about is crazy. And then so now you can also remove the hands, right? Like
you could.
What are some of the things? Some of the customizations you can do to the
all right. I don't know if the body parts fit any current 1/18 scale figure that's out there. Like even today, I heard announced that McFarlane is going to be making 1/18 scale action figures.
And for those who don't know what 1/18 scale action figures are, those are like 4 inches, right? Is that what
those
it is?
are the 4 inch,
inches?
right? The 4-inch figures, right? So it's like you got the neck joint and you got the abdomen joint, right? Those are 2 barbells that are going to be in there. So you're going to have the twist from the left and the right, but then you're going to have the crunch from the top part of the abdomen, and then you're going to have the crunch from the bottom part of the abdomen. So that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 points of articulation right there, right? Because there's up and down and left and right, and then the bottom part, there's the up and down, and there's the left and right. And the same thing applies for the head. So the head sits on our barbell also. So the head can go forward and backward and left and right, as well as up and down. So, you've got that access again on the neck also. So he can almost look like he's shifting over on the shoulders. The hands, if we hit the stretch goals, there will be 4 different sets of hands. There is an unmasked head as well if we hit stretch goals. You showed the other stuff, but the other stuff is cool, right? I want to figure out how to do one figure first.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you.
So this bad boy is going to cost me approximately. The goal for the Kickstarter is going to be set at $40,000 because you've got the manufacturing fee, you've got the molding fee, you've got the shipping fee, you got taxes and tariffs, and then you got the Kickstarter fees. All that brings me to about $3,600. So the extra $4,000 are there for that, just in case, right? Accidents always happen. You always got to be prepared for that X factor.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that line, the line of toys that you have,
which is more than just these.
Right. So they're all gonna come with a trading card.
So they're gonna come with a trading card
all said and done.
Right, they're gonna come with a trading card in the shipping package, not in the production package, along with a comic book, because we do stuff on offset printing, so that's one of the advantages to do that. Right, I know a lot of people get upset that I talk about offset printing, but it's not just one thing that I'm looking at. There's a grander scope, and the figures play a grander scope on this as well, because now when we go to conventions, we got one more thing to do at the table, right? We got one more thing to attract people. We got one more thing to bundle in and create a larger sale, right? We got one more thing that's going to generate revenue so we could keep the lights on at Unstoppable Comics.
Yeah. Nah, this is dope, dude. And listen, right? and I know that you talked about the show. You talk about one more thing, right? And there's always one more thing. Always. And one more thing, obviously, is that you are going to be at the New York Comic Con this year.
Yes, sir.
October 17th through the 20th, I believe.
Yes, sir.
I'll be there as well. What is your booth number?
1948.
1948. So booth 1948, you're going to be there. One more thing you're going to have there is let's see if we can bring that up. Hold on a second. Let's get it. This is what you will have. Now, these are exclusives. Now, they've given us a chance to put up exclusives on the website for the Comic-Con. So if you guys are going to go to New York Comic-Con this year, you're going to have an exclusive at the table, and this is going to be one of the exclusives you're going to have.
Well, that's going to be the regular one. So we're making 100 units of this one, and this is our mascot for New York versus the World Series. She's Betsy with a Z, the Zombie of Liberty. The same way the Crypt Keeper introduced Tales from the Crypt, Betsy will now be introducing future issues of New York versus the World. We're trying to go after those who are into the cute and the creepy, right? And if you're into the brats, we're trying to get that. We're also trying to get the spouse who comes with the guy who's looking at stuff at the table, something to keep her distracted so we can complete the sale with the guy who's at the table before she pulls him away. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Right?
You also have this, though. This is the other thing.
Yes. Yes. That is our glow in the dark version of Betsy, the Zombie of Liberty. So that is limited to only 50 units, people.
Wow.
All right. So she will go fast.
Yeah. So you got to get there. I mean, these may be gone by Friday, dude. By Thursday, they may be gone.
If I'm lucky.
If you're lucky. If you're lucky, they're gone by Thursday.
If we're lucky. Yeah.
Oh, so what are they? What are they retailing for?
The regular version is going to be going for $10.
So this is
the
10?
other one, the other one, the glow in the dark one, because the premium finish on that, that's on that is going to go for 15.
Okay, all right. So I thought you were going to say like 25 or something. Okay, so this is 15, and that's 10. And then you said that they're 2 inches. They're about 2 inches.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, those are dope, dude. These are dope, man.
Packaged in a nice little jewelry box finish. I can't wait to see people wearing this stuff, right?
Yeah,
just the way you said it earlier. Okay, you figured it out. You figured out that it was a love story. You saw what I was hitting on, right? I want the other stuff that I'm hit on to be enjoyed by other people.
Yeah.
Right? That's where I have fun with. Like, you get it. You got it. You're with it. Yeah, right? And that's what I pop for, bro.
No doubt. And then, so for those who are going 1948, you're going to be looking for 1948, right? I'm right. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going to be looking for this guy right here. This is what you're going to look for. This is the setup. Now, how much of that are you tweaking? Some of that, or is it going to?
I am going to be tweaking some of that.
Okay.
So on the 6-foot side of the table, the smaller side on the corner, we have a huge grid with banners there. That whole section, that whole 6-foot section is going to be dedicated to New York versus the World stuff. So we're going to have the pins there. We're going to have New York versus the World collector's boxes there, along with the new issues there as well.
Nice, dude. Yeah, this looks sick. What I like about this this setup also is your price points. $5 for a comic book.
$5 a book, baby.
And you're keeping it at $5 a book.
$5 a book. The trades are going to go for $20. We have some shirts that are going to go at $15. We have some shirts that are going to go for $20, and then we're going to have some shirts that go for $25. So we're going to have a mix on those. We're going to have original art at the table as well. We are going to have $5 pins. So, there are price points that hopefully are acceptable to people's, pockets. We also have $5 shot glasses. We have trading cards there. We have premium cover books. So if there's the collectors that are out there looking for something extra, we're going to have that, right? Last year, New York Comic Con foil covers were huge. People were popping for that. Yeah. I have blood red foil covers for the Vicky Styx book which will be there as well.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
got to do what you got to do to keep the lights on. You know.
It's funny what you say about forward covers. So I was at this weekend. I was at Yonkers Comic Con at the library here in
Okay.
Yonkers, and there was a gentleman that was there. He had a book called M, and somebody walked by the table with a hollow foil cover for his
Okay.
book, and my buddy was standing there with me. He saw that foil cover. He's like, "Yo, I gotta go get that." Because it's so eye catchy. Yeah, it's crazy. What you see at the shows, and you'd be like, "Yo, I gotta go get that."
You know,
Sure
I'm
enough, you
gonna
went and
take
you bought it.
myself off camera, so I can grab these blood red foil covers, which I wasn't ready to show. I just don't want people to see the belly cover up the camera. So I'm here, baby. I'm here.
Go get it. Go get it.
But I'm gonna go grab this very quickly. And that's Vicky Sticks right there. She is our lead for the supernatural area of Unstoppable Comics.
Now, Jay, is she in the universe within the universe? Like, is this a universe that all the characters exist in, or is it all separate stories? How are you working? It's like, can Vicky Sticks kind of cross over into Shield of the Interceptor book and vice versa?
She could.
Okay. So she's like your Blade? Would you say she's like your Blade? Maybe.
I guess you could say it. She is the flagship for the supernatural, the creepy, and the creepy corner of Unstoppable Comics. I do have something in the Storm Chasers book where she'd be popping up in there as a cameo before she makes any appearances in the Interceptor. But these are our blood red foil covers for Vicky Sticks.
Let me give you the solo.
Right.
Nice.
So, nice, bright, vibrant, shiny. Wow. Right. And we have that, and we have the variant on that as well.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's nice, dude.
Yeah. So those are gonna work. Hopefully.
Yeah. And listen, and I've read that book as well. And I honestly, with that, now that is one of the more recent things you've written.
That is one of the more recent things. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, she takes over the monster corner of Unstoppable Comics. That's one of the things I loved also. One of my favorite movies as a kid was Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. But you also got to meet the Invisible Man, Dracula, the Wolf Man, right? And how do you not grow up a child of the 80s and not know who Freddy Krueger is or Jason or Chucky, and then not be influenced by them in some way also?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But the reason why I asked you if that was one of your more recent things is because we all grow as creators, as whether you're an artist, whether you're a writer, a colorist, a letterer, whatever you are. The more you do this, the better you get at it. And Vicky Sticks, to me, that was one of the first things I read from you. So when I read, I was like, wow, this is really good. This is a really good, entertaining book. So yeah, kudos to you, man. And you can see obviously the growth. That's not to say that your stuff before wasn't good, because it really was. But
you have to get better.
Yeah. If I didn't say you got better with Vicky Sticks, it'd be like an insult. Like, yeah, this is just as good as it shouldn't be just as good as what you did 14, 15 years ago. It shouldn't be. It just
no way, dude.
It should
no
be
way.
Better.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Exactly. I feel I'm a better storyteller with that. I felt I reached a new level of being a storyteller with New York versus the World, the last issue that came out. Right?
Yeah.
It was a
very good
30-page story. I gave it room to breathe. Right? Mm-hmm. One of the things we forget as independent creators is we don't have to follow the rules that the big two do, right? We don't need to keep that financial structure intact. And all right, we're writing for a 6-issue story arc so we can close it up into a trade later on. You know what? I'm the one paying the bills. If I want to put extra pages in there to dive a little bit deeper into that character's backstory, or if I want to expand upon a fight scene to show those cool moments, God damn, if I'm the one flipping the bill, I can put that in.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Now, you're gonna get bang for your buck. Like, I mean, the last thing I want to do when I buy a comic book is get through that comic in 2 minutes, because all of it was just silent pages that I'm just kind of flipping through. It's like, I paid $5 for this. I better sit here for at least 15, 20 minutes reading this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I have to have something to read. And
Drop me
so
some nuggets. Give me some backstop.
yeah,
And, you know,
correct.
don't just give me a flat white panel in the background. You know.
Yeah. No, 100%, dude, 100%.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, no, Jay, this has been fun, my brother.
Thanks, brother.
We're gonna leave it here. I want you guys to go into the show notes because I do have the links for unstoppablecomics.com, and you have all your information there. You're very good about
It's all up there, baby.
updating your site,
Yeah.
and I know you had your site went down for a little bit, right? Like,
Bro, the
something
site went down with one
There's
of
a
the
site there.
updates, and I had to reboot from like sometime in
Dude.
March of this past year just to get things back. And I'm like, oh my God. And the site just like it looked so lacking, right? So since I got it back up, I've only been able to do 2 or 3 different posts on there. And I've just been in New York Comic Con mode for the last 2 months, man.
I hear you, man.
This is a big event, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm investing $1,800 to be there, and she looks good, man. She looks good in natural light.
Yeah, dude. She really does. She really. Who did the artwork? Who did the design on it?
So that it's been somebody who's been coloring my books, Champe Ramirez.
Oh, Champe. Okay,
yeah. And he put that up, and that's rocking and rolling, Papa.
Dude, I mean, the website, I'm just scrolling through the website just for you guys. Look at some of this art. This artwork. This is dope, man. I really like that. Who's the artist on
So
that?
that was done by Jerry Gaylord, and Jerry Gaylord did some of the production work on the X-Men 97 cartoon that came out on Disney. Yeah.
Oh, man.
You can look him up. Jerry the Franchise Gaylord on Instagram. That's one of the things I got really pissed off about. I lost my alumni page, and my alumni page had so many people I've worked with on there and updated. You see, this didn't even have New York versus the World #3 on here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, man. So I gotta do a bit more updating on that site. You know,
there's just so much to do, bro. It's just like,
oh man, look at it. See, I'm just realizing.
What's that?
There's the Twitter feed is not coming through anymore.
Oh, this right here.
That's where the Twitter feed was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, listen, and that's the other thing, right? Websites, man. Like,
dude,
you think you had okay, I'm good. I did all of this, and then your website's down, or your website needs updating, or something. These are really cool.
So this is the character guide, right? The encyclopedia that I was talking about. So on one side, you're going to have the character entry, their stats, and the other side, you're going to have their image, what they look like. Oh, and I'm also putting the credits in the black column on the edge to show who wrote it, who did the artwork on it. So try to show some love in here.
Very nice design work on this stuff.
Thank you, brother.
Very nice. Yeah.
Right, so that also works for the people who do, I guess, D&D campaigns, right?
Right. I like that you've given it an actual rating. Yeah. So for people, for parents or whatever that maybe come through the site and be like, oh, I want to get something for the kid. Okay, PG-13. My kid is 14. Good, we can do that.
You have to. You have to.
Now PG-13 because of the violence, or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's no nudity in the PG-13 books. Like, see here it says for mature readers only. Right, for New York versus the World. So that's more of an adult book. That, you know, we're not throwing the what do they call it? The Kubert curse, right? With the @ symbol, the pound sign, right. So that'll pop up in the spot of the foul language, but not in New York versus the World, right? The F bombs and the S bombs and the C bombs, they're all in there. They're all in there. But yeah, it's PG-13 because of the violence.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, it's an easy site to navigate. You guys, you can see, you know, how easy it is. You want to do something, you want to go check something out. You know, you got what it's about, who worked on it. Yeah, no, solid work here, brother. Solid work.
Thanks, brother.
Yep. You did your thing with it.
I try to put out a product that I would be happy buying.
Yeah, no, for real. And listen, this is, again, I love doing shows like this. I want to start doing this because I do want to give obvious shine to the other indies out there, but more than just to talk about you, which I think is a good idea, but also just to talk about what it is that you do. Like, what is it that I should be supporting? You know, like, and I did want to dive into the Shield of the Interceptor because first of all, I think it's a great story, but also because, well, you also have the action figure coming out on Kickstarter. So if you haven't done so yet, look out for that. Now, okay, real quick before we go, that Kickstarter, you will have more information at New York Comic Con or prior to New York. When are you going?
Oh, prior to New York Comic Con. Okay. It'll be live during New York Comic Con.
It'll be live. So when are you launching? Do you know?
We're going to be launching that either that Wednesday night or that Thursday.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous because in the past I have not broken 5 figures on a campaign, and here we are asking for almost mid 5 figures, right? We're asking for 40K, right? But we've invested a lot because when you showed in that, that other teaser, there's more than one figure, man.
Right.
There's 12. Excuse me. There's 13.
13?
There's 13 because one of them is a Build-A-Figure. So forget.
Build-A.
Yeah. With 8 parts, and one of them is a troop builder. So the troop builder wouldn't come with Build-A parts. The other ones would come with Build-A parts. But that's if we can get there, right? You want to be ready just in case.
Yeah.
But for right now, we're focusing on getting him funded.
True.
Let's get that one figure funded. Let's figure out how to do it right.
Well, you know what I'm finding very, very amusing right now. We're mad Hispanic right now, and I say that because we came on late and we're doing like the Hispanic goodbye, where we're like, all right, I'll see you guys later, but we're still here.
We got to take pictures before we go. We've been here for 7 hours. We only waited till somebody picks up the keys before they walk out the door to take pictures. Did you pack your pay the food? Did you take your food? Don't forget your food in the fridge.
Don't forget the food in the fridge. Yeah, I got to put that in the platito. You got to get platito, man. You got to get all of that.
Don't worry, keep the Tupperware. I don't need it. I got to get new ones.
I don't need it. That's an old Chinese food container I had from back in the day. Don't worry about it.
But that's having fun. That's talking about comics, bro. We're talking about comic books and the production of, and what else falls within the Venn diagram, right?
No, you're right, dude. You're right. And this is why I love doing these shows, bro. It's why I love talking shop, and especially when you are chatting with somebody who like have a connection with, like we just like it's cool just to sit and just talk, like, but
we're just talking like we would any other day.
It's true. This would be us at a convention, bro. The only reason why we don't do this at a convention is because we're so busy trying to get our books in people's hands.
But you're going to be there Wednesday, yes or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna set up on Wednesday. Okay. I'll be there the full day, and and then it's a 4-day affair, man. It's like
I'm gonna be there from early on Wednesday. So
I'm gonna try to get there as early as possible, dude. It's gonna
capture those early sales on Wednesday, baby.
Yeah, word. Yeah, no, it's gonna be good, man. No, but Jay, thanks so much for coming on, my brother. And you're always welcome. We'll see you. I'm sure you'll come on Catch the Craze once your stuff launches. Hopefully, we can get you on there. And bro, we'll chat.
Definitely.
All right, homie. I'm gonna put you in the back, and then I just hang out for a bit. Let me just say goodbye to the folks.
Night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
All right, everybody. So that was the Shield of the Interceptor deep dive. Please make sure that you keep up with the show notes. Come back to the show because I will have the link to Jay's Kickstarter on the show notes once it goes live. So you guys can just always come here and just click the button so you can check it out. Support Jay in this endeavor. He's got beautiful action figures coming out. Something that not too many of us smaller guys have the balls to do. So big shout out to him. And please, again, support. I'm going to just share this one more time so you guys can see what it is. That is the line of toys that he's got. But there's going to be more. It's Shield of the Interceptor. Let's make it happen. Anyway, I have him in the back. We're going to chat a little more, but thank you for joining me. I'll be back next week on Monday. And I'll be on Catch the Craze tomorrow. So check me out there. All right, everybody. Peace.